have it here. So anyway, so it's time to set up some networking, and since this is well, HomeKit stuff, we're going to do some HomeKit enterprise networking. So not just one network, we're going to put it in 3. So let's get started. So anyway, the first network to set up is the ILO interface. Sorry about the lighting, but it's not very good light in this corner. But anyway, this is a G8, but the G9s, they're basically layout's the same. So you have a independent Ethernet connection where we're just going to plug in a normal Ethernet cable. And ILO is basically a lights out mini computer. So when you plug in any of the power supplies, then it energizes this small computer, and this small computer starts up, and then you can access that computer through the ILO network. Actually, you can have it on the ILO network can be part of the normal network also. Well, in this case, for illustration purposes, I'm going to set it up like you would in a data center. So you have a separated ILO network from the main network and the fiber network, so that you always have administrative access to the machines for emergency purposes. So anyway, that plugs in there. So what I've done now is I've set up 2 Ethernet switches, and then I'm going to clean up the cabling later, but just to illustrate. So we dedicate one of the switches to the ILO network and the other one for the main Ethernet network. So let's just plug that in there for illustration purposes. So the next connection to make is what I call the main Ethernet network. And that's through the flexible LON, which is a module here. And if you've been watching my videos now, swap these out to be normal Ethernet. So you just plug in an Ethernet cable, and that will be the so-called main Ethernet network. You can actually have different types of FlexiLON modules. For example, the SFP, which takes SFP, or those that connect to the HP Flex system. But I decided for the HomeKit system, I decided that this should be standard Ethernet. It's the easiest. And it's actually 1 gig per port, so it's not that slow. And then I've reserved this other switch will be the so-called main Ethernet network. So all the FlexiLON modules will be connected with Ethernet cables that will come to this switch. And again, I'll clean up the cabling later, so this is for illustration purposes. So 2 separated networks, one for the lights out mechanism. So this means that if the main Ethernet network gets some kind of a problem, either electrical, mechanical, or software or otherwise, then you still can access the service through the service network, and then the other way around. So if the service network kicks out, then you always have access through the main Ethernet network. So the third network I'm going to put in is fiber, and of course for each server we need the patch cables from each. So I have 3 of these. The G8 will be connected once it's in its final place, so there will only be 2 connected here where I'm setting up stuff. So I'm going to borrow one of the fibers to the G8 to test it. But anyway, we got 2 different fiber adapter cords. This is the classical HP, and I'll put the types in the comments. And this is the classic. No, it's cheap, but nobody really likes it because the truth is that it eats a lot of power and it dissipates a lot of heat. But yeah, well, whatever. I have those, and then the other card I actually have to look what was that. Oh, these are Mellanox cards. And then I have Cisco SFP Plus modules. And I've done this setup before, so if you're interested in the more detailed setup, then you could watch one of my previous videos where I actually did my 10 gig network project. I went through the details back. I mean, this is quite simple. Adapter card into the server, an SFP module on both ends, and then patch cable that goes between those. Not that complicated. Just one technical. This is single mode fiber, so and single mode SFP modules. So I just thought I'd show what it looks like with the card in place. I'll put it onto the right hand side, so it's in combination with all the other network connections, and then it also leaves all the other, as much space as possible for other stuff to be installed later. So anyway, that was an overview of the networking setup, and as you might have observed, I've put up some other stuff also, so we're getting closer to the time we're going to do a startup. Now, I did run into a problem with my patch cables, because there was you could order them 5 meters or 10 meters, and then I kind of somehow thought that I measured that I could survive with 5 meters, but no, I think I need at least 7, so I've had to reorder new patch cable. And with these patch cables, you need to make sure that you actually can draw them in a way where you don't get, you know, violent kinks in the cable. It needs to kind of like, you know, follow a nice, or at least I try and do it so that it gets what I call lazy install, so it should just drop and fall in place and go around corners in a lazy fashion. So and try not to stress out the fibers, even though in my experience patch cables are quite sturdy. They don't break immediately, but still I try. But anyway, so that's a bit of a bummer, so I have to order those. But anyway, see you in the next one, and maybe we'll be starting up some of the gear.